Hello, hello! My name is Callista, and welcome back to Pentiment. In the last episode, we experienced a rather awkward dinner with the Gertners. Life really hasn't been so great for them these past few years. You know, Il Peter passed away, Ursula's been sick, Clara lost a child in childbirth, which I did not realise at the time. The game used the term childbed, which I assumed would be like cot death, you know, childbed, cot death. Like, that's what I thought they were saying, but no, childbed is apparently childbirth. So yeah, if I had realised that at the time, I don't think I would have been asking, oh, why do you think that happened? Why do you think that happened? No, I misunderstood what was being said. So yeah, the Gertners have not had the easiest time as of late, and it's just seeing how bitter Peter is. It hurts. It hurts. He was always quite a hard man, but like not like that. Not like that. Either way, it is time for bed. Oh. Hello. Okay, Saul, the first monarch of Israel. According to the Old Testament, Saul was divinely rejected from the kingship after disobeying the prophet Samuel's instructions. Okay. Also, this music. Okay, this is cool. This is cool. Yeah, I am not familiar with this Testament story. The sin of Saul. The sin of Saul. Master, did you hear that? It sounded like someone crying out. I think it's Sister Amalie. She's a mystic. She may be having one of her visions. Sister Amalie, are you all right? The Philistines. This is the hand of God. Compline. Compline. Sister, is something happening at Compline? It's Compline right now. Oh, flippin' heck. I feel like I should shout this, but I'm not shouting it. No! Oh. I mean, like, I feel like we should call out. I mean, it's not like, well, unless there's a secret entrance and exit. Unless there's some secret way to get in there. I mean, we can't really do anything. All we can do is sort of like cry out. Sister? Sister Amalie? You're the artist, Andreas. You remember me? Are you all right, sister? What did you see? Yeah, we got a note saying not to come back. We got a note saying leave Tassing and never come back. And again, I think you are behind this, madam. I think you think that you are on a mission from God to get rid of the sinners. I think it's between these two. Whether she is actually having visions or not, I'm not sure. She could be faking. She could be faking so that, you know, people think like, oh, you know, Sister Amalie was talking about a pale horse and then someone died. Oh, isn't she mystical? Like, she could be faking that, or it could be part of some deeper psychosis. Like, I think that she genuinely believes that she's on a mission from God. And if she's experiencing these visions, that would just be spurring her on, like, oh yeah, God is showing me these things. I mean, clearly she remembers us. I mean, Why would she? I mean, I guess an artist coming to Tassing would be unusual. And maybe it's not so much that she remembers us, she remembers how involved we were in the Baron's death and the investigation around that. I'm more interested in what she saw. What did you see? See? I don't remember. What did I say? No, Here's the thing. I'm suspicious of Amalie. I don't necessarily think Andreas would be. I think he would probably be thinking, oh, like this poor lady. You know, he has made the comment of like, oh, I think she has X, Y, and Z ailment. Like, I think I think he would have a fairly sympathetic view of Amalie. I'm suspicious. Yeah, I think he'd just tell her. Something about the sin of Saul, the Philistines, and Compline. Oh, I wish Father Thomas were here. Would you like Caspar to go get him? If he could, yes. His house is just around the corner. Caspar, run and get Father Thomas. Yes, Master Andreas. Your son? My apprentice, Caspar Ziegler from Salzburg. My apprentice, but I think of him like a son. No, I have no son. My wife and I... Oh... Now, I said in the last episode, I think Andreas would look at Caspar as like a surrogate child. It came out in a way that I didn't intend, where it was like, oh, this is my apprentice. He leaves me with no time for myself. I meant it as more of like a, you know, oh, I'm so focused on him. I'm so focused on his education and his well-being. Like, I have no time for myself, but, you know, I'm enjoying spending time with this kid. Like, that's how I intended it. That wasn't how it came out, though. But yeah, I think Andreas would look at Caspar as a surrogate child. My apprentice, but I think of him like a son. He seems eager to please you. Of course, that is the job of an apprentice. He is quite enthusiastic, yes. I feel his devotion is misplaced in me. Ooh. If what I think happened, where Andreas's wife inadvertently caused the death of their child, I think maybe Andreas is looking at this like, okay, I wasn't there. And because I wasn't paying attention, you know, I couldn't step in and save my kid. You know, my wife was... What's the word I'm looking for? Enabled, perhaps? My wife's negligence was enabled by the fact that I was being negligent of how good of a parent she was. If that makes any kind of sense. Maybe he just trusted. You know, like, oh, she's a woman. She's a woman. That means she'll automatically be a great parent. And I disagree with that. I disagree with the notion that, like, oh, mothers are inherently better parents than fathers because they're female and they pushed the kid out, therefore they are the more devoted parent naturally. Like, I disagree with that wholeheartedly. But maybe that's what Andreas believed. You know, she is the mother, therefore she will be the most devoted parent, she will be on it, and then it turned out, no, she wasn't. She wasn't on it. And, you know, she was negligent, and then this happened. I think maybe Andreas would be like, right, this time I'm going to be so on it. I'm going to be so on it with Caspar. I'm going to look after him. I'm going to make sure he's right. In a way, like, it's kind of like a do-over. That's an awful way to talk about a lost child. It's an awful way to talk about it, but maybe that is what Andreas feels. I failed one child. I'm not going to fail this one. He is quite enthusiastic, yes. I have little knowledge of the workings of masters and apprentices. Hello. My world is one of spirit. There you go. Decoupled from the march of life and death. I notice she is wearing purple robes. Again, my one thought is that the ink was purple. The ink of the letter was purple. That's going to be a pretty rare colour to come by in this time period. It's not like today where you could just pop down to the store and get like a purple felt tip pen. Like, purple ink is going to be rare and it's going to be expensive. Who better to afford that than the church? And we can see purple. Like, I don't think we've seen purple in this whole game. Again, because it's such a rare colour in this time period. Yet we're seeing it in Sister Amalie's cell. This is suspicious. I find this deeply suspicious. My world is one of spirits, decoupled from the march of life and death. I see and hear your world turning from this little window, but they are mercifully small glimpses. Mercifully small, you chose a difficult life. Is it mercifully because, you know, she sees the world going by and it's like, you could have had that. You could have had that life. Or are we talking mercifully small because you look out and you go, oh, look how base they are. Look how lesser. God is not pleased with them. I must enact his righteous fury. Like, how do you mean this? Mercifully small? This cell allows me to contemplate mysteries without the noise of the outside world polluting my thoughts. Your world is the world of normal lives and normal thoughts. It can be difficult to hear the divine, much less make sense of it. I have no will to be part of that world. I strive to have no will at all, but to subordinate myself to the will of God. I'm assuming that's God. Oh no, it's his. When my will is his will, he graces me with visions, confusing though they may be. This, I'm pretty sure this is the trait we got for saving that book. To join your will, to be intimate with Jesus as though he were your wedded husband. It must be frustrating. Surely it could be interpreted with scripture. Certainly, if God is giving you visions, he wants you to understand them. I'm sorry to have disturbed you. I want to go with this because I want to pick this because you can only get this by going down a specific path. And therefore, I'm like, surely the game designers would give you some special piece of information. Because it's like, oh, you went to the trouble of saving the book. So because of that, you have access to this information that you otherwise wouldn't know. At the same time, I'm like, is this semi-heretical? Talking about Jesus like he's someone's wedded husband. I mean, nuns are married to Jesus. Nuns are married to Jesus, but would you really talk about it like this? I don't know. if she, again, because I don't trust her. I don't trust her. Why do you have purple in your cell? And the writing was purple. Again, I'm pretty sure I haven't seen this colour in the entire game. I'm pretty sure I haven't. Someone's going to be like, no, it was here. Someone was wearing purple cloth here. So I didn't notice either way. Like, this is the first time I'm really noticing, oh yeah, purple. Purple cloth. Not like indigo, because Veronica has kind of like a dark bluish indigo coloured clothing, but like straight up purple. I can't remember anyone else having that. I find it so... Sorry, moving on. Moving on before I distract myself. Because I'm suspicious of her, I'm like... I don't want to draw her ire. If she's the one behind all of this, and this is somewhat heretical, oh. Again, that's my thought. I'm suspicious of her. Andreas isn't. Andreas, fuck it, we're going with it. To join your will, to be intimate with Jesus, as though he were your wedded husband. The shock. Fuck it. That is a bold thing to say, Master Mailer. Where did you hear that? I read it in a book written by an English mystic. Why do you assume I heard it? I have thoughts of my own. Fuck it. I mean, it's opening a dialogue. It's opening a dialogue. I want to know more about this lady. I want to know all of her secrets, and like shocking her. That's a pretty good way of getting secrets. Fuck it, let's be honest. I read it in a book written by an English mystic. It helped me improve my English skills while I was abroad. She took it well. I am glad you have an interest in spiritual matters. But these are not words to speak lightly, nor ideas to speak lightly of. The revelations we experience can be terrifying to us, and to those who witness us experiencing them. They are not dreams, but waking visions of the greatest divine forces. I'm sorry, I did not mean to offend you. Say nothing. Yeah, we'll apologise. I'm sorry, I did not mean to offend you. I am not offended. But it is difficult for us to communicate these experiences through the written word. Again, Father Thomas was saying you can't write. You can't write. And now you're saying like, oh, it's so difficult to communicate these experiences through the written word. Again, I think Thomas is in on it. I think Thomas is in on what she's doing. Maybe he knows that, she was responsible for her previous convent burning down. He knows that she likes to write these letters and stir shit, and he feels protective of her. So he's going around telling people like, oh yeah, she totally doesn't know how to read or write. She can't write, 100%. Like, she just, don't ask her to write anything out. She can't do it. She's not writing any letters. Don't question it, please. But it is difficult for us to communicate these experiences through the written word. Sister, Andreas, aren't you gonna, she was talking about writing. She's just contradicted something that Father Thomas said. To be fair, Andreas probably doesn't remember that. Sister, what is that hole in the ground? Damn. Bloody hell, my grave. What? That seems macabre. Say nothing. I mean... Again, if the idea is that this place is, it's tight, you can't get in it. Again, I think there's a secret entrance and exit, but, if to everyone else it's like, oh yeah, no one can get in, no one can get out, what's going to become of her body? What's going to become of her body? She's having to think these things through. That seems macabre. I dug it before Father Thomas read me my funeral rites, before I was enclosed here. I dig a little more in I'm sorry, I'm just... I get this is very macabre. This is very macabre. I dug it before Father Thomas read me my funeral rites, before I was enclosed here. I dig a little more in it each day. Most people find it shocking, but this is my devotion, my vocation. Once someone finds their calling, they must answer it fully. What if the calling is wrong? I don't think it's that simple. Of course, how could we do otherwise? Was a calling to a cloistered life not enough? How did you come to go this far? There's being a nun, and there's this. There's this, like... This is... It's insane levels of devotion, at least in my opinion. Like, I can't fathom this. I can fathom wanting to become a nun. I can fathom that. I can't fathom this. Was a calling to a cloistered life not enough? No, I thought it might be, but as yourself have learned, the cloistered life is not so cloistered. The butting of the temporal world against the spiritual world is like flint against steel. Sparks are inevitable. Is your calling in question, Andreas? Is your life? Both, I think, say nothing. No, I'm happy to continue the conversation. I think... In a way, I think Andreas would find it easy talking to this woman because she is confined to this one room. She hasn't seen half of the things that Andreas has seen, or at least in his opinion, in my opinion, no. But in a way, her separation from the world, I think Andreas would find comfort in that in a way. Both, I think. I've lost my love. My love for art, love for family, love for anything. The last 7 years have been hard. It was all too much for me. Don't lose hope, Andreas. The human heart is no small thing. It can hold so much. Andreas, thank you for sending Caspar. It seemed prudent she asked for you. Well, we asked first. It seemed prudent. Are you all right, Sister Amalie? Yes, Father. I may have had another vision. Andreas said I spoke of the sin of Saul, Philistines and Compline. What do you think it means, Father? Andreas, Caspar, could you excuse us? We appreciate your help, but I must tend to her now in the church. Of course, Father. Good evening. All right, good evening. Of course, Father. Good evening. God bless you both. Master Andreas, I'm confused. What did all that mean? I'm not sure, but the last time I heard Sister Amalie have a vision, it was just before the Baron was murdered. What? Do you think... Could Sister Amalie be receiving warnings? No, that's too simple an explanation. There are layers and layers to divine messages. It's easy to think that, especially after the fact, but I was only present for one murder and one other vision. Perhaps there is a medical explanation for her condition. A fever or St. Anthony's fire. It's possible, yes, I'm skeptical. Ooh. This music is beautiful. This music is beautiful. It's funny. It's funny, but but after that scene, part of me's like, I genuinely believe her. She seemed so innocent there. I don't know what to make of that. I feel the fact that there is purple in her design. There was a purple blanket in her cell. Why was that there? Why was that? They could have had a blue blanket or a red blanket. Hell, they could have had no blanket. They could have just had a brick. Why put that there? Purple is such a rare colour in this time period. And I swear down, I have not seen that shade of purple outside of the letters. That to me feels like a clue. That feels like a visual, like, A, she is rich enough to afford this dye. Well, again, probably not her, the church. The church is rich enough to afford this dye. The fact that she had that line about, like, oh, it's so difficult to put things into words, to write them down. When earlier, the game called out, like, oh, she can't write. Isn't that weird? Andreas is saying, isn't that weird? And now we have that line where apparently she can write. She writes stuff down. And it just got glossed over. I'm like, Flags are being raised in my brain. Flags are being raised saying, pay attention. Pay attention. There is something weird here. There is something not right. I am seeing clues. But it was her actual demeanour. There was something so innocent about it. I think it was that bit at the end where she was like, oh, like, what do you think it means, Father? Again, she could be putting on a show for us. And like, oh, I'm so confused. I don't know what any of this means. And Father Thomas is in there right now saying, oi, don't be thinking about writing another letter. Don't be doing that. I know what you're like. I will say, I found it interesting when I was editing. I can't remember which episode number it was, but it was the big speech. It was Otto's big speech. I was looking at all of the people there. Father Thomas was there. Father Thomas was right near Andreas. I didn't notice him when I was actually playing, but when I was editing, I could pause it and, take a minute to look, okay, who's here? Who's listening to this? Father Thomas was listening to this. And he looked so upset. He looked miserable. And I would assume he'd come back to the church, maybe have a chat with Sister Amalie about it. So many of the fingers I see point to Sister Amalie. I think Father Thomas has to be involved, but I think it's a case of he knows what she's doing and he's trying to cover up for her. But he's also bringing her information. Sister Amalie could have overheard the Baron, at the very beginning of the game, when the Baron was like, oh, I have this book, it's going to cause quite the stir. Like, that was right here. Sister Amalie could have heard that. She couldn't have heard him going off in the, when everyone sat down for dinner. Unless she had snuck out and she was listening in, she couldn't have heard that. Father Thomas must have brought that information back to her. And again, I find it interesting that Father Thomas was present for the speech. He was present for the speech where Otto is going on about like, oh, I've seen a gift from God. I've seen a gift from God and that is driving me to do this, to stick it to the abbey and the abbot. I think Father Thomas has to be complicit in some way. I think he's bringing information back to Amalie. My one thought is that, like, if you know this woman is writing these poison pen letters and you don't want her to do it, why would you bring this information back to her? If you're covering everything up, why would you be bringing this information back to her? I don't know. That was an interesting scene because I've been picturing Sister Amalie as this very conniving character. And she seemed so genuine. She seemed so genuine and innocent in that scene. It's completely thrown me for a loop. But still, so many of the clues I can see point to her. So I'm like, let's just focus. Let's just focus in on this. Could Sister Amalie be receiving warnings from God? I mean, maybe Andreas would try and logic this away. Like, oh, it could have been a coincidence last time. It could have been a coincidence. Just because she's having a vision right now doesn't mean that another man... He's sticking his head in the sand. That's what he's doing. That's exactly what he's doing. He doesn't want to think about a repeat of what happened last time. So it's just like, oh, it's probably coincidence. It only happened once. We have no data that says it's going to happen again. It is easy to think that, especially after the fact, but I was only present for one murder and one other vision. But what if there's another murder? If that happens, I may revise my opinion. Come, Casper, let's retire for the evening. The second vision. Oh, I mean, like, oh, hello, you know what, we'll pet the cat. We'll pet the cat before we go to bed. Hello, Schlau. Hello, you are a good cat. Yes. Give him the chin scritches and the back rubs. Yes. I love cats. I mean, I know a murder is going to happen because that is the nature of the game. I'm going to leave off right here. I see one very obvious victim. Because someone is kicking up a reet fuss, telling them that God is, urging them on to revolt, and I don't. Otto's a good dude. Otto's a good man, and he's got a wee bab. He's got a wee baby. And I'm just like, I'm really hoping they subvert my expectations, and they kill off, I don't fucking know. Who's another kind of important member of the town? I like everyone, that's the thing. the miller. The miller. Let's hope that they kill off the miller. And it's not Otto, but like I said, if anyone is, like an obvious murder victim right now, I'm like, it's him. It's him. Oh, this is good. This is good. I'm really enjoying myself. And I am going to bring this episode to a close right here. In the next one, we'll head off to bed. But until then, please remember to like if you enjoyed, leave a comment below, and if you wanted to subscribe, it would be very much appreciated. I've been Kallista. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next episode.